Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. If you're a dividend-focused professional, and I know a lot of you are, you know that not all earnings updates are created equal. Sometimes you just get a routine numbers check, but other times you get an absolute masterclass in strategic asset management. And today, we are diving deep into the Q1 2026 business update from Capital Land Integrated Commercial Trust, or CICT. Let me tell you, this isn't just a story of surviving a tough macroeconomic environment. It's a highly actionable blueprint for alpha generation and long-term dividend growth.
Here's our completely fluff-free agenda for today. We're going to cover resilience by the numbers, the masterful freehold arbitrage, bringing the outdoors in, trimming debt with sustainability, and finally, the future Singapore cityscape. Let's jump right in.
Starting off with Section 1, Resilience by the Numbers. We're looking at a $314.4 million net property income. Now, before we look at the really flashy strategic moves, we have to establish the macro-level financial baseline, right? That's what anchors any serious dividend investor's thesis. And right out of the gate, CICT has delivered a massive 7.9% year-over-year surge in net property income. We are talking about raking in $314.4 million for the first quarter of 2026 alone. Think about that for a second. In a market where a lot of REITs are literally just fighting to keep their margins above water against inflation and rising operating costs, a nearly 8% jump in NPI, that is a huge signal of underlying operational strength.
And when you look at the broader victory here, gross revenue bumped up by 8.0% to $426.7 million compared to Q1 2025. But look at the operational health actually driving those dollars. We're seeing a highly resilient 95.2% portfolio occupancy and a super stable 3.0-year weighted average lease expiry, or WALE. And guys, this isn't just luck. This is the direct result of strategic step-up acquisitions. They achieved 100% interest in Capita Spring, successfully integrated the contributions from Galileo, and effectively locked in high-quality tenants. That gives us that vital cash flow visibility for the next 3 years.
Moving to Section 2, Masterful Freehold Arbitrage, a $3.9 billion strategic play.
So it's one thing to have a solid baseline, but it's an entirely different game to actively trade your way into higher yields. Take a look at this sleek luxury storefront. That belongs to Paragon, the iconic retail and medical destination right in the absolute heart of Orchard Road. CICT announced this massive $3.9 billion strategic play to acquire a 100% interest in this crown jewel. And let me be clear, this isn't just a trophy purchase for optics. They secured this asset at a really attractive 3.9% overall net yield.
But the truly brilliant part is how they funded it. They divested Asia Square Tower 2, or AST2, for $2.476 billion. Now, AST2 is an 81-year leasehold asset, and they actually managed to sell it at a premium to its market valuation, unlocking all that capital at a lower exit yield. Then, they take those proceeds and redeploy them directly into Paragon. They literally traded a depreciating leasehold asset for a forever freehold asset, and they're doing it at a higher net yield. It is an absolute masterclass in leasehold versus freehold arbitrage, and most importantly, it's highly accretive to their distribution per unit.
All right, Section 3, bringing the outdoors in, focusing on asset enhancement.
Okay, so that covers buying yield, but building yield organically is just as critical. Check out this newly envisioned texture of Plaza Singapura. They are completely reshaping the atrium. We're talking lush greenery, immersive overhead LED screens, the whole shebang. CICT gets that the next generation of Orchard Road retail can't just be boring rows of shops anymore. It has to be a multi-sensory destination. By focusing heavily on these experiential and thematic concepts, they are actively driving up foot traffic and, by extension, tenant sales. So this isn't just about making things look pretty. It is a direct ROI engine.
And this initiative doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It integrates perfectly with the Urban Redevelopment Authority's master plan. The playbook here is to pedestrianize the Orchard Road stretch fronting the mall, expand Istana Park, and then seamlessly extend that park experience right indoors. And for all the dividend investors out there worrying about downtime, you can breathe easy. They are carefully executing this in phases while the mall remains fully operational, which totally minimizes any disruption to your cash flow.
Let's pivot to Section 4, Trimming Debt with Sustainability, or, as I like to call it, the green discount.
Now we're getting into a hidden driver of dividend growth. Whenever we see ESG and sustainability metrics like these targeted greenhouse gas and CO2 reductions, it is super easy to dismiss them as just corporate PR or optics. But for CICT, reducing their environmental impact is a very real, very powerful financial lever. They are actively using their green credentials to optimize their cost of capital and aggressively protect their balance sheet.
The absolute standout metric here is 2.9%. In a macroeconomic environment where interest rates have been a huge headwind for real estate everywhere, CICT actually managed to drop their average cost of debt to just 2.9%, all while maintaining a highly protected 38.5% aggregate leverage. They are keeping that fortress balance sheet incredibly secure.
So how exactly did they pull that off? Well, they locked in $300 million in fixed-rate notes due all the way out in 2031 at a highly attractive 2.18%. And they did this entirely through green financing. This is the tangible green discount in action, folks. By meeting strict sustainability targets, they access cheaper capital, which trims their debt costs and directly preserves the alpha that flows right down to your distributions. ESG in this context is an aggressive financial strategy, plain and simple.
Finally, Section 5, the future Singapore cityscape, owning both ends.
Pulling this entire strategy together into one singular narrative, we are looking at a $27.0 billion property giant. And with 94% of that massive value heavily anchored right here in Singapore, CICT is without a doubt the ultimate proxy for the nation's commercial real estate future. They aren't just sitting back and participating in the market, they are actively shaping it through targeted acquisitions, smart asset enhancements, and masterful capital management.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. In the future of the Singapore cityscape, which do you value more? The classic security of a freehold anchor and orchard, or the experiential innovation of a mall that breathes like a park? Well, the beauty of CICT's Q1 2026 blueprint is that you don't have to choose. For CICT, the strategy is clearly to own both. Thank you for joining me on this explainer. Keep analyzing, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.